Further north in what is now New Mexico, it looks like no humans could ever have lived here. Today, it is one of the most arid zones on the continent. The Chaco Canyon. There is no vegetation, no water, and there are no animals to be seen. And it was already like this in 1491. But once, this area looked completely different. This is the story of a civilization that developed as far as it could, used its resources as well as it could, and still declined. More than 500 years ago, the Chaco Canyon was covered with lush vegetation and forests of pine and juniper. This fertile area was home to the Anasazi. From the year 700 on, the Anasazi built the highest and largest buildings in North America. One is several stories high and has 800 rooms that overlook the majestic canyon. 1,000 people lived here. They had no beasts of burden to transport materials. Thousands of felled trees were dragged down to the Chaco Canyon on men's bare backs. There is no account of their lives or of their disappearance. But environmental historians can tell us what happened by counting tree rings and analyzing rat nests. Nathan English of the University of Arizona spends much time in the canyon looking for traces of the ancient nests.
Our interest in Chaco Canyon is to learn more about how the ancestral Puebloans live, and there's a number of ways we can do that. We can do that through traditional archaeology, where we dig up ruins and sites, or we can also look at what the environment was like around the ancestral Puebloans. And the way we do that is by looking at pack rat middens. And each pack rat midden is like a little snapshot in time of the area around the midden itself. So you could think of it like a picture. And the middens can be up to 40,000 years old in some places. And what the midden is it's the pack rat makes a nest, and it poops in that nest, and then it only gets its water from eating plant vegetation, so its urine is very thick and viscous. That urine seeps into the pile of poop essentially and solidifies, almost like amber. In the meantime, the pack rat is also collecting things, for the plants around it, also pot shards, sometimes even corn or seeds of squash. And those macrofossils are incorporated into the midden. So we go out, we collect the midden, and then we examine the macrofossils in that midden to look at what the ecology around that midden was like at that time.
Not only do rat middens hold information, trees do too. Dendrochronologists count the rings of ancient logs to give the exact date when the very last tree was cut down for construction. The Anasazi used juniper and pine for their timber and to make fire. Too much of it, some think. With the trees goes the soil. The forest cannot recover. Because of erosion, water drains down, creating gullies on the way. Irrigation and agriculture are no longer possible. This large population cannot feed itself anymore. But did they destroy the forests? Or did the forests leave them?
So other scientists who've worked here have a couple of ideas of what happened to the woodlands that were around here while the ancestral Puebloans were living here. The first idea is that natural climate change caused the margin of the woodland to move further north and off-site. The second idea is that there were a lot of people living here and they over-harvested the wood. We are on the edge of this pinyon juniper woodland, and so it's really possible that just natural climate change would have caused it to move back. But it's also, we know that the people were harvesting wood for fuel and for timber, and so it's likely that a combination of the two things are what led to the loss of forest in this area.
The year 1130 rolls around. It's one of the driest of years. The Anasazi have survived previous droughts, but the population has increased greatly, and there's no suitable territory to expand into. Without rain, it's impossible to grow enough to support the population. No agriculture means no culture. The Chaco Canyon is abandoned. These ancient Americans cut down the last tree and moved on. Using Stone Age tools, they helped destroy the ecological balance of a whole region. It's a myth that Native Americans always lived in harmony with nature.